Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Triplus and today we will be looking in a more in-depth guide on how to flash a Sonoff device. So right over here in my cupboard I have a Sonoff TH10. Now it's going to be a little bit hard to see, but I'll move. Which has been running for quite a while now, so since I set up my last video. But it has been running the standard firmware, and well, there's not too much configuration possible with that one. And also the temperature sensor that I have here, I would like to see the data that it gathers into my Home Assistant so that I can replace my other temperature sensor that I have here, and I don't have double sensors for no reason at all. So currently it is actually powering the LED strip you see behind this IKEA drawer and my little LED lamp on top of my mini aquarium or nano aquarium. But the first thing I'm actually going to do is to remove the power, because that's very important that you remove it from mains power, because else it will probably fry or explode in the worst case. So it's very important to do, and well, see you once I've decoupled everything. Okay guys, so before we start I actually want to point out that you will need an FTDI adapter before starting this, and also a computer of course to plug in into the USB port. I bought a cheap one from Banggood. It is a programmable one, because you can put it on 3.3 volts and 5 volts. Make sure it's on 3.3 volts unless stated otherwise in the flashing instructions of your Sonoff, but for this one we will need 3.3 volts. So the process of opening up your Sonoff device is different for the TH10 than it is for the Dual, than it is for the Basic. Well, the TH10 and the Dual are actually very similar, but there are a few differences. The Sonoff Tasmota firmware that we will be flashing on, our Sonoff actually has a wiki which shows you the flashing instructions for every Sonoff device out there, which is very handy, so make sure to use that one as well for your reference. But let's start with this one. So of course unplug this if it's attached, open up the screw that is keeping everything together. I do have a decent set of screwdrivers downstairs, but I'm just too lazy. So once this is the case, okay, you can unplug your wires, but I don't think it's necessary. Well, let's see if it is necessary or not. It's possible that it won't be possible to open this one up. I do remember having some issues with the Sonoff Dual for opening it up, but actually I think just pulling here. Note that once this seal is broken, you actually void your warranty, so make sure to test your device before flashing it, so in case it doesn't work that you can still get it back. That you can still get it back. My sentence ends there. So opening this up is always a little bit of fiddling around. I use a screwdriver here and there, suddenly it will pop open. Okay, it clicked. The seal is broken right now, so bye warranty. And then you just open it up, and there we go. So now it's just a matter of what I would suggest is that you look at the instructions on the Tasmota wiki. They are very well explained, but what you should do is you see here that there's a VCC GND from ground, so your FTDI adapter also has those values, so you will see the gray one here is ground, or should be ground. I'm not sure how well you see it. Then the red one is 3.3 volt, or the VCC. And again, depending on where you put this little thing, it's 5 volt or 3.3 volts. And then the yellow one is RX and the orange one is TX. So it's fairly difficult to see on camera, but if you take a look at your FTDI adapter, it will be fine to figure out. I pasted them or taped them together, so my VCC is on the left and my ground is on the right. So you will see the cables here in the order they actually are. So red, orange, yellow, gray. So red is VCC, so this is the way how you should plug it in, because VCC is on the red side. VCC is on the red side, so again red, and then ground is ground. Again, these instructions are everywhere on the internet, so just look it up, but the order that you should have it in is VCC, then RX, then TX, and then ground. And again, if you switch RX and TX, it doesn't matter. For some devices, you will even need to swap them around because else they won't work. So the important thing is that your ground and your VCC or your 3.3 volts are in the correct holes on the Sonoff. So let's go to the computer where we will do some setup and flash a device. Okay guys, so before we actually start flashing, we will need a few prerequisites. Again, on the Sonoff Tasmota wiki, everything is detailed in very good instructions. I basically learned everything from here. So the tool that I use is Platform.io. Again, everything is very well documented. First you will need to install Visual Studio Code, and on that you will need to install Platform.io. Again, install this and then go to this path and fill in Platform.io and just download it. Then you will need to actually copy or download the zip which will contain this. Again, this is, as you can see, a little bit of an older version. I know this one is working, so I'm actually going to use this one. The next step for me is to upgrade all my Sonoff devices using OTA, so over the air update. But that's the next step for me. I also don't have a lot of experience with that. Once I figure that out, I'll let you guys know. But again, I made a separate folder and I opened it in Visual Studio Code or Platform.io. So the plugin is installed, which you can see from here, so Platform.io home. Nothing interesting there, but just open the project and a few things that we will do. So the first thing you should do is open the userconfig.h folder, or file, I should say, sorry. So project, call it whatever you want. This is actually the name that will be used for a bunch of different things. So let's call this one TH10 to make it easy, right? The date over here, I'm actually changing to the date of today, because every time you make changes and you want to reflash and re-update the config files, you will need to change this value. So during the upload, it knows that it has to change the values or not. So if you ever want to reflash and change all the settings, change this value. I just use the date that I flashed it at, but it's up to you. So then for Wi-Fi, I want to connect it to Wi-Fi. I'm setting a static IP so I can manage my device a little bit better. You can use DHCP, in the end it doesn't matter, but the good thing is that, as you can see here, I'm able to connect to my Sonoff devices using the web browser, and I know the IP in this case. You can also do it on your router side. However, my ISP doesn't allow our router to assign static internal IP addresses. So, well, yeah, I just do it the other way around and ask my DHCP to assign me a certain address. Then the SSIDs you fill in here. Yeah, and of course your gateway, your subnet mask, and your DNS. This can also be the same as your gateway. I have Pi-hole running, which is running on this IP. So then your SSID 1 and 2, it's basically just two Wi-Fi networks. You can also use twice the same one. Doesn't really matter. I'm using two different ones because I've noticed some difficulties where it wouldn't connect to the first one and it would to the second one, and vice versa. And it would depend on the day, but I think the ISP router again is at fault here. What else? So yeah, this is the OTA URL again. I already filled it in, but I haven't played around with this yet. Then you would have to put on your MQTT settings. So, well, again, this is the IP, this is the port. For me, I don't have a username and a password, so just leave it empty. And then here it would just fill in some things automatically. In case you want to change certain things, I'm going to change this one though. So my username, password, or just admin. But just read the settings here. So if you want to disable your web server, just put 0. It's not that hard to just read through everything and figure it out. But these are the settings that I have, so I scroll through them very quick. If you want to check them out, make sure to pause the video whenever needed. So what I do now usually is do a build, so just to verify that everything will build. It is possible that I forgot to mention one thing, which I will mention now. Yes, so the name that you define here in project, this is also what your ino file should be called. So let's rename this one to TH10. Let's see if you have any other name that's called PyPower, but I think not. Looks good. So it's important that this file, again, I'm not quite sure what it's called, sonoff.ino by default. So this file you should rename to the same value that you put in your user config project. This is apparently a limitation of platform.io, but let's do it anyway. So I'm actually looking for a file called platform.io here. There we go. So this file is then basically the definition for telling the platform.io program how you want to build and write your Sonoff device. So I uncommented the first line here, so by default it's like this. I uncommented it. I'm not sure what else I uncommented, but I think it's minimal. These are all default. I didn't change those. So just save everything. And you should be ready to flash your device. One thing I'm going to say though, I have had some issues in the past where I just had to flash and reflash and reflash and reflash before it started working. Not sure why, but it's possible that you will have to redo that. So I'm going to put up my my phone to record my Sonoff device while I flash, so you guys have a better understanding of that as well. So be right back. Okay, so I have put up my my phone to record my Sonoff device, so you see it over here. Again, it's on my desk, so it's not the you see my mouse over here, so I'll try not to bump around too many things. But we're ready to start. So make sure your Sonoff device is not connected to mains power. So over here you can see my it's unplugged, so that's very important. That's the first thing that you should check for sure. Yeah. sorry, the cable is fairly sturdy, so it's pulling everything around. So the second thing you should make sure is that you know the order of your pins on your FTDI adapter, and that it is put on 3.3 volts, because if you put 5 volts on there, it is possible, and I've done it by accident, that you will fry your Sonoff device. So, not fun. So let's start. So what we do now is actually figure out how to put it in. So again, put VCC in VCC, ground in ground, and the RX and the TX don't really matter. Well, they will matter because it won't work if you put it one way or another, but let's see. So VCC is there and ground is there. Like so. Then the next thing you do is be ready to, well, you will need to hold this depending on the device you're using. For the Sonoff Basic, it's a little bit harder to do it this way because it will lose sometimes the contact between the pins. This one feels fairly sturdy, just so it should be straightforward. But what I'm doing now is I will be holding down the button. The reason why I'm doing this is to connect ground to connect GPIO 0 to ground, which will put it in flash mode. So then I'm plugging this in, I'm holding it for a few more seconds, and then I'm letting go. So once that is done, I'm going to move my mouse, which is fairly difficult right now, onto the upload button and click it, and let's see if it wants to flash. Again, as I said, sometimes for me this is a little bit of a trial and error process. Sometimes it works first time, sometimes it doesn't, but let's see what it does now. It did detect the port, so that's nice. The light on this thing is flashing, so it's okay, so it is uploading. Again, no guarantees yet that it will work first time. I'm not sure why that it sometimes just refuses to work, even if it says 100%. I'm already going to put my mouse over the serial monitor, so I can click it once it's finished, so that I can verify if things start working or not. Okay, we have an error. Okay, so over here I was reflashing the device, so all I did was the exact same thing that we just did. Again, it gave an error, not sure why. I didn't change anything, I just unplugged it, put it back in flash mode, and reflashed it, and then, well, as you will see in a few seconds, so this is actually code afterwards, it actually got successful. However, this time it was successful, so the flashing was successful. However, it seemed that we were stuck in a boot loop, which you will see in a few seconds here. So it's successful. I opened the serial monitor there, and it stated WDD reset, WDT I mean. There, I decided to actually put it into, well, restart it, unplug it, replug it, and then it would show me that I was actually stuck in a boot loop. Once you start getting these errors and they just keep looping, so I've had these a few times, I usually just flash again and change this value. Again, I'm not sure why they are happening. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So let's just flash again right now. Okay, as you can see, the Sonoff is actually connected to my MQTT server, to my what's it called, my Wi-Fi network. So everything looks fine. This is still running on my 3.3 volts. So let's assemble it again, connect it to the mains power, and pray. So let's disconnect it here. So I usually just unplug my USB cable first. For I rather not lift this and accidentally touch other components and just break everything. So let's let's connect it. Okay, so let's close it up again. It's probably the easiest thing you'll do today. Just like okay guys, so in the middle of my previous recording, my phone decided to shut down. I still had like 25% battery left, but well, it decided to shut down. So the angle is a little bit different because I'm actually having my phone plugged in at the moment, and I'm going to plug in my Sonoff. So it's not the best way to do it, but it will work. So it is plugged in right now. Let's try pressing the button. So actually the lights on top came on. So the firmware is working. Let's hop back onto my PC because I'll show you some things over there. Okay, so while I was starting my Sonoff device, I actually had MQTT Spy running. So as you can see over here, the TH10 came online. We have the result and the stats, well, and some other things from this. Here you can see the IP. So let's jump onto. Oops, sorry, something fell. It's fine. So admin in my case. And from here you can actually do some nice configuration. So let's configure the module. We have a Sonoff TH10 or Sonoff TH. The sensor is, I believe, this one. Save. It will restart. I heard a click, so it shut off. Let's wait for a few seconds. We can actually monitor it here. So it should already be online again. So let's go to main menu. Okay, so toggling works. And actually this device is flashed, so it is working. For me, it's also the first time that I'm flashing something with a what's it called? A sensor. So let me figure that out real quick. Okay, so all I had to do was reconfigure this one. For whatever reason, it didn't save previously. Very simple. But now I can see on my main menu, I can see the temperature and the humidity here, and I'm sure that here it's also stating that. So there we have it. This is the configuration for TH10, but as you can see here, you can basically configure dual R2, whatever else that you want to flash. So it's fairly straightforward to do it this way. Well, I hope that answered a few questions that I was having. I do know that for a few Sonoff devices you will need to do some additional things to ground the pin while flashing. So for the basic and the TH10, for example, it's holding down the only button on the device, but we can take a quick look at it together. Actually need to be in the wiki. Then for the dual, it actually states how to do it. So you need to connect GPIO 0 and ground. I explained it in my previous ground, and GPIO 0 is button 0, so you connect button 0 to ground with a jumper wire, and then it is in a flashable state. And here as well, there's an explanation for the regular Sonoff Dual. how to do it. So again, I know it is it might be a little bit difficult for other devices. For this one, it's very easy to do. So well, we have a working Sonoff device with MQTT enabled. So starting from here, Sonoff Tasmota even has Home Assistant support. So what you do is you just copy paste this, well, actually this in, just change your topics and you're golden. Home Assistant is also configured, so it's very easy to do this. And well, start building automations and whatever you want to do this. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thanks for watching, and I see you again in the next one. Bye!